Hey friend, it's life coach and licensed therapist Robin May, and I am the founder of the I Believe in Marriage Network, and I'm so excited about this conversation. One of the topics I'm often asked to speak about is building your marriage as a winning team. Let me tell you a sneak peek. We are launching I Believe in Marriage University in the fall of 2025, and at that time, building your marriage as a winning team is going to be one of the courses within I Believe in Marriage University because it is a popular topic. But in this video, I am just sharing with you the 4 strategies to be the MVP in your marriage, the most valuable player. I'm going to walk you through real examples on how you can be the MVP of your marriage. And I want you to use this to jumpstart conversations with your spouse. Both of you watch the video, take some notes, and allow it to be a conversation starter for your relationship. And if this helps you, will you go ahead and subscribe to the channel? Listen, if you get one aha, subscribe to the channel because we have a big goal. We want to get our subscriber numbers up so that we can have a greater impact on the community. We are helping Christian couples win in their marriage, and you can help us. All right, y'all, let's get to the video. And so today we're going to talk about the 4 strategies to be the MVP for your marriage. So let's dive right in, okay? Strategy number 1. The MVP puts the team's goal above their own. The MVP puts the overall team's goal over their own goal. If you are going to be the most valuable player, the MVP in your marriage, that is going to require that you are willing to step back and say, wait a minute, let me make sure I am prioritizing us as a team and not just my own intention. You know, when you think about this concept of being the MVP of your marriage, if you think about the MVP in a sports team, it's the person who cannot be replaced. This is the person that brings the team together. This is the person that's making sure the team is winning. And yes, that can sometimes feel like a lot of weight on your shoulder. But what you're also doing is creating space for your partner to step up to the plate, to go to another level. And so I think about this all the time when I think about being the MVP of our marriage, and I think about putting the team's goals above my own. I think about something that happened with my husband. So let me tell y'all this story, and I'm going to tell it very quickly. Many years ago, we had one daughter, my oldest daughter, who is now 17. We had Ryan. And at this point, Ryan had to be 2 years old, and my husband wanted to go back to school to get a executive MVP, an executive MBA. He applied to get an executive MBA. So I'm pregnant at this time, okay? He gets accepted into the university that he wanted to go to. So he was so unbelievably excited. But then he started to understand the commitment of the program. And the commitment of the program was extensive because it was a accelerated MBA program. It was accelerated. And so it was requiring him, or it would require him, to be gone most of the weekends, every weekend. So remember, I'm pregnant with by now, I'm pregnant with our second daughter. We have Ryan. Ryan is 2, or she's about to be 2. And he is going to be in this program where he's gone every weekend. Now, let me tell you about me. I am the queen of supporting somebody in their dreams, baby. You cannot tell me a dream. I'm going to buy your website for you. If you tell me, you know, I really like jumping jacks, I'm going to buy jumpingjacks.com and encourage you, right? So I would never tell him, don't do it. But I was freaking out because we don't have any family here, any biological family other than my sister-in-law. And so now we have great support with friends, but that's a lot to ask, right? And so it would just be me every weekend at home with our 2 children. And so my husband, remember, we're talking about how to be the MVP in your marriage. My husband made the decision without telling me. That's the reason why I told y'all the part about if you tell me you like jumping jacks, I am getting the website jumpingjacks.com. I told you that because my husband knew he couldn't tell me what he was going to do. He reached out to the admissions department at this very prestigious university here in Atlanta, Georgia, and asked them to delay his admittance at least a year so that we could probably build some more support. Ryan would be older, the baby wouldn't be a newborn, and it would not be as difficult for him to be gone so much. Mind blown, because he prioritized the team's goals above his own. He really wanted to get this executive MBA, but he prioritized what the family, what I needed, what our children needed above his own goals. But let me tell you the good thing about that. Fast forward, this is such a testimony. And even as I am sharing this, it is encouraging my heart because of a season of life we're in now. But this is the testimony. Fast forward, several years later, my husband ends up being the CEO of DeKalb County. And as the CEO, of course, he was getting this extensive, crazy experience. The very thing he would have been learning in the executive MBA. Now, mind you, he already had a degree in business. But the work he would have been learning in the executive MBA is what he was getting lived experience with as the CEO. So much so, y'all, this is the testimony. Listen to this. So much so, that university where he had asked for delayed admittance, he ended up never going to this program. That university asked him to come and speak to a particular class in the executive MBA program that he had applied to. So the experience that he got superseded anything he would have been learning in the executive MBA, to the point where that same university asked him to come and speak to the class. It is such a testimony. See, y'all not giving no hearts. It is such a testimony of how God will take care of your business if you take care of his. And taking care of his business means taking care of your family, making sure that you are honoring your wife, making sure you are honoring your husband. And you don't have to wait for your spouse to acknowledge it. God is going to take care of it. God took care of that for my husband. His sacrifice paid off dividends. His sacrifice paid off dividends. And so that's what I mean by putting the team's goals above your own, prioritizing the needs of the marriage over your own personal desires. Now, I got to give a caveat here. If you rock with me at all, if you go back on any of the videos we've done here on Instagram or on YouTube, you know that I truly, truly believe that it is so important that you honor your spouse's dreams and that you support your spouse in their dreams. And I believe in you walking in I don't believe that marriage means you have to ignore anything that matters to you. But I do believe in making sure you're prioritizing your life in a way that honors God. And so when you put the team's goals above your own, you have no idea how God is going to bless you. And so what you want to do is focus on mutual growth. That is mutual growth, not just individual growth, not just how I'm going to win, how are we going to win? Now, I'm going to give a little side note to this. Whenever I'm working with couples and we start dealing with conflict, I always tell couples this, and I want you to write this down. I want you to remember this. I want you to tweet it out. I want you to share it. When you're dealing with conflict, if you have the mindset that I have to win, the marriage is going to lose. When you're dealing with conflict, if your mindset is, I got to win this argument, I got to win this issue, if I have to win, the marriage is going to lose. The goal is to make sure that we win. And so that's the same thing when we talk about building your marriage as a winning team and being the MVP of your marriage. You want to think about, how do we win? How do we win? All right. So remember, I told you I'm giving you 4 strategies. Strategy number 1 is the MVP puts the team's goals above their own. Here's strategy number 2. The MVP is willing to take up the slack when their teammate needs them. The MVP is willing to take up the slack when their teammate needs them. Now, you hear me talking about team and teammate. Remember, these 4 strategies come from building your marriage as a winning team. And when we talk about building your marriage as a winning team, what I tell the couples and what I want to tell you is that a team consists of 2 people with complementary skills working toward the same goal. And so we are teammates in this. We should be lovers in this. We should be friends in this. We should be partners in this, but we are also teammates and we have a goal. We want to win in our marriage. And so the MVP is willing to take up the slack when their teammate needs them. And what does that look like? You're offering support in times of need. You're coming alongside to support them in whatever they are doing. You are willing to take up the slack. There is no such thing. Okay, let me help y'all out. Let me help y'all out. Somebody repeat after me. There is no such thing as 50-50 in marriage. Somebody say it with me. There is no such thing. Whoever told y'all this 50-50 told you a fib. There is no such thing as 50-50 in marriage. Marriage really is carrying the weight of proportionately over time. Ooh, now that was good. That was good. Somebody need to say amen, Robin. Marriage is about carrying the weight proportionally over time. Sometimes you may be carrying 60% and your spouse is carrying 40. Sometimes you may be carrying 30 and your spouse is carrying 70. This is where we get into a danger zone. If I'm always carrying more of the weight, that's when we're in trouble. If I am always carrying 80% and you're always carrying 20%, then that's when we're in trouble. And what's powerful about this is that even means just in my perception. Sometimes I might be perceiving that I'm carrying more, but that's not the reality. That's why you need to find somebody who can help you navigate the terrains of your marriage. Even if I'm perceiving that I'm carrying more weight over time, then that is going to create resentment in the marriage. But it is not 50-50. Somebody is always carrying a little bit more. Now, when I talk about carrying more, we need to conceptualize that. We need to conceptualize that because what does that really mean? It often falls down when it comes to or it can be identified when we look at the roles and responsibilities in marriage. And if I feel like I'm carrying the weight of the roles and the responsibilities, then yes, I'm going to be frustrated. But if we are carrying it together and at different times I'm carrying more and at different times you're carrying more, depending on the season of life that we are in, then that can help us be satisfied in our marriage. So the MVP is willing to take up the slack when their teammate needs them, right? You want to be your spouse's first call. Can somebody prophesy that? I am going to be my spouse's first call. In other words, if my husband is in need, if he is sorting through something, if he needs support, I want to be the first place he comes to. And I want to be the first place, I want him to be the first place I go to. And so that means taking up slack when your partner needs them. So again, you've heard me say several times, depending on the season of life that you are in. We have 3 daughters. They are 10 at this time, 15 and 17, 10, 15, and 17. Well, over the seasons of our life, when we talk about roles and responsibilities, there was a time, y'all, when I couldn't even tell you the last time I cooked dinner. There was a time I could not tell you the last time I cooked dinner. Now, mind you, when the teenagers were small, when they were 6 and 8 or 7 and 9, I was always the one cooking. I had menus. I was always. And there came a time, however, where life changed. My time, my schedule changed. How our family was flowing was changing. And I never or rarely could. I mean, it was a long time when I could not tell you when I had cooked dinner. So much so, my daughter Riley said one time, now at this point she had to be 4. So she's 4, Ryan is 11, and Reagan is 9. Okay. And I remember Riley saying to me, Mommy, all you know how to do is nachos. She said, Mommy, all you know how to cook is nachos. And when I tell you I was offended, see, I'm laughing now, but baby, I was offended because she was so young. She did not remember the time when I was doing the majority of the cooking. But that season of our life, our roles had changed and my husband was doing most of the cooking. Now, I know there's some people who struggle with the idea that you can waver in who is handling different responsibilities. So I'm not telling you or your husband that he needs to cook or that you don't cook. Don't take that from it. You got to figure out what works in your family. Partnership is a high value for me. Partnership is a high value. And my husband honors partnership. And so we carry the weight together, right? We partner in life together. And so there's really no such thing as a woman's job or a man's job except. See, I say that. So you got to let people tell you the whole story because see, these folks be on social media painting a picture and then you fall for it and you go back to your spouse trying to get that situation. Because I'm saying that, but I let him tell me to take out the trash. First of all, let him ask me to take out the trash. Baby, the way I have an attitude, when he goes out of town and he sends me a text and says, baby, it's trash day, I feel violated. And so I say there's no such thing as a man's responsibility or a woman's. I should just say generally, because I'm going to tell you, I don't know the last time he cleaned the toilet. Okay, so generally speaking, we carry the responsibilities together. And so when Riley said, Mommy, all you know how to cook is nachos, it was very offensive to me, but I had to come to terms with in that season of our life, she hadn't seen me cook. Now, I promise you in the last, I might be doing too much to say the last 2 years. So let's just say the last year. I do the majority of the cooking. I am at home. I work from home. I'm always at home. So I do the majority of the cooking. And so now at 10, she has a different perception. And so what are we talking about? The MVP is willing to take up the slack when their teammate needs them. That means stepping in when your partner is struggling or overwhelmed, being a support in tough times, and being there when your spouse really needs you. Remember, we're talking about how to be the MVP in your marriage, the most valuable player. And I'm going to tell you something at the end that is my husband and I's commitment to one another. I'm going to share that with you at the end. Number 3, the MVP is consistent and reliable. Don't even consider being the MVP of your marriage if you're not consistent and reliable. The MVP is dependable. Your spouse should be able to count on you. Now, when I am in person, I'm teaching this session. My husband is often with me. We've taught this together so many times. And I tease about being a sports chick, which I am, like I said. Gymnastics and cheerleading. But I use the analogy of an alley-oop, and I'm always so proud of myself. This is the mindset when you talk about being consistent and reliable. I want to be able to go for the alley-oop and know my partner is going to make the point. When you are the MVP, you're consistent and reliable. Your spouse knows that they can depend on you. Your spouse doesn't have to question, doesn't have to wonder, doesn't have to hesitate. They know that you are going to be there for them. You're going to show up emotionally. You're going to show up physically. You're going to be what they need you to be. That's the MVP. The MVP follows through with their promises. The MVP owns up to their commitments. The MVP is somebody who your yes is your yes and your no is your no. Do you all remember when we were little, when you used to play the game where you put your arms out and you just fall back? Well, if somebody didn't trust that you were going to catch them, they wouldn't fall back. They'd put their foot back to catch themselves. I remember when my husband and I were young and we were dating, I would just be walking down the street and I'd put my arms out and prepare to fall back because I'm like, you got to be there to catch me. He always caught me. And so you want to make sure that you are there, that you stand in the gap for your spouse. Your spouse knows that you are going to be there. You know, there was a season in my marriage where I realized that how I was showing up for my husband, or how I was showing up, period, was creating some frustration for him. The Bible says, the heart of her husband safely trusts her. The heart of her husband safely trusts her. That's one of the scriptures I really hold on to, because there was a time where I know that my husband, it didn't have anything to do with fidelity or anything like that, but when he would tell me things, my response would not make it, what's the word I'm looking for? It wouldn't be conducive for him to share more with me. And so I had to consistently show up differently over time so that he could know, you can talk to me about the tough stuff. Now, I always got to make this caveat. We are not robots, right? And so it's not fair to drop a bomb on somebody and not expect them to have a reaction. But my reaction would just be over the smallest things, because I was building up my emotional resilience. And so my resilience was very low. And so the smallest thing was sending me off. And so it caused him to not feel that he could share with me. And so in order to change that experience, I had to be consistent and reliable. What if I told you that the key to a thriving, fulfilling marriage is at least having a game plan? Listen, I'm life coach and licensed therapist Robin May, and I have been in the trenches with couples for over 20 years, and we keep it real around here. Now, there are a lot of factors that contribute to feeling fulfilled and even happy in your marriage, but I can tell you that if you and your spouse do not have a strategy, you are setting yourself up for failure. So I created the Couples Playbook. It is a step-by-step template to help you and your spouse create a strategy for winning in your marriage. It will help you get on one accord with your finances, with parenting, even with your intimacy, all the things. Listen, I want you to slow your life down long enough, set aside this time, and create a strategy, a plan to win in your marriage. Head to IBelieveInMarriage.com/playbook. So far, we have talked about 3 of the 4 strategies. The MVP puts the team's goals above their own. The MVP is willing to take up the slack when the partner needs them. Number 3, the MVP is consistent and reliable. And number 4, the MVP knows their position and plays it well. The MVP knows their positions and plays it well. What do I mean? We all have a role in our marriage. Now, let me tell y'all a sneak peek of something. I am launching a program. That's why you need to join the Love Challenge, because those who join the Love Challenge, you're going to find out about this on Saturday. Everybody else, and you're going to get a discount. Everybody else is going to find out about it, I believe, on Monday. But one of the things in this program I'm talking about are your family roles. I need you to understand. Growing up, you played a role in your family. We like to tell my daughter, me and my husband tell my daughter, she's the middle child, we tell her, you are the glue for the family. Now her sisters say, no, she's not. But we tell her she's the glue for the family. We all play a role, right? I tended to be the peacekeeper in my family growing up. We all play a role. Some people are the scapegoat. Some people are the comedian of the family. We all play a role. Now, those roles that I just described may not be a role that you want to play. Whatever role you played as a child, it's impacting you as an adult. It's impacting you in your marriage. And in this program that I'm going to be sharing with you all on Saturday, and if you're watching this well after Saturday, you probably will find it in the description. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. But when we talk about the MVP, knowing their position and playing it well, you play a role in your family. You play a role with your husband. You play a role with your wife, and you want to know what that role is. You know, I want you to ask your spouse, what do I do that really helps you? How do I show up that really encourages you? You got to know your position, and then you got to play it well. So again, let's go back to this idea or this example of me being the person who handles most of the cooking now. That might seem minor, but I know the weight my husband is carrying. I know all the things that he has going on. So sure, I could say, because it's not like I'm at home chilling. I'm at home working, okay? I work a lot. And so I could definitely say, you know what? I'm not cooking, but I am in this season. Now, in another season, don't worry about it, because in another season, it may be different. But right now, I understand the role that I am playing. I am doing my part. Even with how we parent, we play. There are certain things that he handles, and there are certain things that I handle. So much so, my husband handles a lot when it comes to the sports. And so much so, him and my daughter, my middle daughter, Reagan, who is a volleyball star, they'll be talking about some program or something that they're doing, and I have no idea what they're talking about. But then when it comes to anything emotional related, anything that has to do with therapy, with any of the kids, anything that has to do with their emotions, he has no idea. So the MVP plays their position, right? You understand your role. You don't try to take over your spouse's role. You focus on mastering your own. We complement one another's strengths, and we fill in for one another's areas of growth. That's what it means to know your position and play it well. There are certain things that you are naturally good at, right? Are you naturally good at handling the finances? Are you naturally good at navigating vacations? Are you naturally good in handling the initiation of what happens with your marriage enrichment? There are some things that you do naturally. Do it and do it well. Let me give you all four again. Number one, the MVP puts the team's goal above their own. The MVP is willing to take up the slack when their teammate needs them. The MVP is consistent and reliable. The MVP knows their position and plays it well. Now, remember, this is how you use this video. I want you to ask your spouse. If you're a husband watching this, ask your wife. If you're a wife watching this, ask your husband. You all watch the video, and this is how you do it. You say, hey, today is Tuesday. Can you watch this video by Thursday, and then we talk about it on Friday, and you just talk about your key takeaways, what you want to improve, what you hope you both can improve, and use it to jumpstart conversation. Now, there's a comment here that says, as wives, we got to make our husbands feel comfortable being vulnerable with us. Absolutely. We have to create, I want to be careful of my language because words are important. We want to create an environment where they feel comfortable sharing. Right? We want to create an environment where they feel comfortable sharing. Wait, I forgot. Let me add this last part to our conversation. Remember, I said I wanted to share with you a strategy my husband and I use when it comes to being the MVP of our marriage. Our goal is to outdo one another in trying to be the MVP. We want to try to do our part to get the MVP title. Now, we don't necessarily have to say you get it or I got it, but if our heart's intention is to do all that we can to honor one another, it keeps our marriage on a healthy track. So, how about you take on that challenge? Why don't you and your spouse both rally for, run after, try to get the MVP of your marriage? All right, y'all, that's it. All right, y'all, that's it. Did that help you? I really hope that you got some takeaways. Remember, if you got one takeaway, all you got to do is subscribe to the channel. And if you got two takeaways, comment. If you got three takeaways, go ahead and share this video with somebody so that we can continue to build this platform to help Christian couples win in their marriage. Until next time, y'all.